Marie Curie, a pioneer who transformed science and medicine. Part 1. Early Years and Education, 1867 to 1891. Maria Sklodowska was born in Warsaw, Poland, on November 7, 1867, into a family that valued education despite challenging circumstances. Her father was a teacher of mathematics and physics, and her mother was a teacher and school principal until her death from tuberculosis when Maria was only 10. The political climate in Russian-controlled Poland severely restricted educational opportunities, particularly for women. Despite these limitations, Maria excelled in her studies. She graduated from high school at age 15 with a gold medal, demonstrating exceptional abilities in physics and mathematics. Unable to attend university in Poland as a woman, Maria worked as a governess from 1886 to 1891 to help finance her sister Bronislawa's medical studies in Paris. This arrangement exemplified the strong bond between the sisters. Bronislawa would later help finance Maria's own studies. During these years as a governess, Maria continued her self-education, reading extensively in physics and mathematics. She also participated in the Flying University, a secret educational institution that allowed women to pursue higher education in Poland. This early experience with underground education shaped her lifelong belief in the importance of educational access for all. The young Maria also gained her first laboratory experience during this period, conducting basic experiments in a laboratory at the Museum of Industry and Agriculture in Warsaw. These early experiences with hands-on scientific work would prove invaluable in her later career in 1891. Following the plan she had made with her sister, Maria finally set out for Paris to pursue her dream of formal scientific education. She carried with her not only academic ambitions but also a strong sense of Polish identity and a determination to succeed that would characterize her entire career. Part 2. The Paris Years and Scientific Beginnings, 1891 to 1897. Maria Sklodowska's arrival in Paris in November 1891 marked the beginning of a transformative period. She immediately registered at the Sorbonne under the French version of her name, Marie, and rented a modest attic room in the Latin Quarter. Despite having saved money from her years as a governess, she lived in near poverty, often subsisting on bread and tea. Studying late into the night in unheated rooms, her dedication to academic excellence quickly became apparent. Despite initially struggling with French, she ranked first in her class for the license in physics in 1893 and second for the license in mathematics in 1894. Her exceptional performance caught the attention of several prominent scientists, including physicist Gabriel Lippmann, who would later provide her with crucial laboratory space for her research. During this period, Marie developed her methodical approach to scientific study that would later become legendary. She was known for taking meticulous notes, repeating experiments multiple times, and maintaining rigorous documentation of her findings. Her colleagues noted her extraordinary capacity for concentrated work, often forgetting to eat or sleep when engrossed in her studies. In 1894, Marie met Pierre Curie, an established physicist who was laboratory chief at the School of Physics and Industrial Chemistry. Their first meeting occurred when Marie was seeking laboratory space for her work on the magnetic properties of steel, arranged through a Polish physicist colleague. Pierre was immediately impressed by Marie's intelligence and dedication to science. Their courtship was unconventional for the time, centered on their shared passion for science and research. Pierre's love letters to Marie often discussed scientific theories alongside romantic sentiments. After initially refusing his marriage proposal, she had planned to return to Poland to teach. Marie eventually agreed to stay in France and marry Pierre in July 1895. Their marriage marked the beginning of one of history's most productive scientific partnerships. The Curies set up their home in a simple apartment near Pierre's laboratory, establishing a lifestyle devoted almost entirely to scientific research and study. They would cycle together to their laboratory, discuss their work during meals, and spend evenings documenting their findings. The years 1895 to 1897 were crucial in establishing their research direction. Marie chose to pursue her doctorate, a remarkable undertaking for a woman at that time, and began investigating the mysterious radiation that Henri Becquerel had recently discovered in uranium salts. This decision would lead to their groundbreaking work on radioactivity. During this period, Marie also gave birth to their first daughter, Irene, in 1897. She managed to balance her new maternal responsibilities with her scientific work, often carrying her baby to the laboratory. The Curies refused to patent their research methods, believing that scientific knowledge should remain unfettered by commercial interests, a decision that would later impact their financial situation but establish their legacy of scientific integrity. Their working conditions were far from ideal. Their laboratory was a converted shed with a leaky glass roof, poorly equipped and subject to temperature extremes. Yet it was here that they would begin the work that would revolutionize our understanding of matter and energy. Marie developed innovative measurement techniques using Pierre's sensitive electrometer, combined with her own methodical approach to investigation. The scientific community in Paris during this time was predominantly male and often skeptical of female researchers. However, Marie's exceptional abilities and Pierre's unwavering support helped her establish herself. She became known for her precise experimental techniques and her ability to develop new methodologies for measuring radiation. These years laid the foundation for their future discoveries. Marie's choice to study uranium radiation would lead to the discovery of polonium and radium, while their collaborative approach to research would establish a new model for scientific partnerships. Their dedication to pure research, regardless of material rewards, would influence scientific ethics for generations to come. This period also saw Marie develop her characteristic resilience in the face of challenging working conditions, her ability to balance family life with scientific pursuits, and her commitment to fundamental research, qualities that would define her entire career and influence future generations of scientists, particularly women in science. Part 3. The Discovery Years and Nobel Recognition, 1898 to 1906. The period from 1898 to 1906 marked the most revolutionary phase of Marie Curie's scientific career, characterized by groundbreaking discoveries, intense laboratory work, and unprecedented recognition in the scientific community. In 1898, the Curies began their systematic investigation of uranium rays, building upon Henri Becquerel's discovery. Marie's methodical approach led to a crucial observation. The radiation emitted by uranium compounds seemed to be an atomic property of uranium itself, independent of its chemical form. This fundamental insight suggested that the radiation came from within the atom, challenging existing theories about atomic structure. Their research took an unexpected turn when Marie discovered that certain uranium ores were more radioactive than pure uranium. This observation, which lesser scientists might have dismissed as experimental error, led the Curies to hypothesize the existence of unknown radioactive elements. Working in their primitive shed laboratory, they began the arduous process of chemical separation to isolate these new elements. In July 1898, they announced the discovery of polonium, named after Marie's homeland. More significantly, in December of the same year, they reported the discovery of radium. These announcements were revolutionary, but the scientific community demanded physical proof. Thus began 4 years of intense labor to isolate pure radium from uranite ore. The work was physically demanding and potentially dangerous, though the hazards of radiation were not yet understood. The Curies processed tons of pitchblende ore in their inadequate facility, using processes Marie developed. They worked through extreme temperatures, stirring huge vats of mixture with heavy iron rods, often suffering from burns and fatigue. Their dedication paid off in 1902 when they finally succeeded in isolating radium and determining its atomic weight. This achievement was particularly significant as it definitively proved the existence of this new element. The same year, Pierre began showing signs of radiation sickness, experiencing chronic pain and fatigue, though neither connected these symptoms to their work. Recognition came swiftly. In 1903, Marie and Pierre, along with Henri Becquerel, were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics for their work on radioactivity. Marie became the first woman to win a Nobel Prize. The ceremony brought international attention, though Marie, characteristically focused on her work, was initially reluctant to attend. The Nobel Prize changed their lives significantly. The resulting fame brought much-needed funding and better laboratory conditions. However, Marie remained dedicated to her research, using their prize money to hire laboratory assistants and improve their equipment. She continued her doctoral studies, becoming the first woman in France to earn a doctorate in science in 1903. This period also saw significant personal challenges. Both Curies were experiencing health problems, though they continued their research. Marie gave birth to their second daughter, Eve, in 1904, adding to the complexity of balancing family life with scientific work. Their accomplishments inspired other scientists, particularly women, to pursue research careers. The scientific community's understanding of radioactivity expanded rapidly during these years. The Curie's work established new fields of research in physics and chemistry, and Marie developed many of the procedures for radioactive measurements that became standard in laboratories worldwide. She also began investigating the medical applications of radium, laying the groundwork for modern radiation therapy. Tragedy struck in 1906 when Pierre was killed in a street accident in Paris. Despite her devastating grief, Marie assumed his position at the Sorbonne, becoming the first woman to teach there. She approached this role with the same determination that characterized her research, delivering her first lecture from the exact point where Pierre had left off in his last class. This period demonstrated Marie's extraordinary resilience and dedication to science. Despite personal tragedy, health challenges, and the inherent difficulties of their research, she continued to advance our understanding of radioactivity. Her work during these years not only revolutionized physics and chemistry but also established new standards for scientific research methodology. Part 4. Legacy and Later Years, 1906 to 1934. Following Pierre's death in 1906, Marie Curie entered a new phase of her career, emerging as an independent scientific leader while facing unprecedented personal and professional challenges. This period would cement her position as one of history's most influential scientists. In 1906, Marie became the first female professor at the Sorbonne. Her inaugural lecture drew massive public attention, but she maintained her characteristic focus on science, beginning exactly where Pierre's last lecture had ended. Despite her grief, she expanded the physics laboratory at the Sorbonne and continued their research with increased determination. The years 1910 to 1911 marked both triumph and controversy. She successfully isolated pure radium metal and developed methods for measuring radiation standards. However, her nomination to the French Academy of Sciences was rejected, not for her scientific credentials, which were impeccable, but because of her gender. This rejection highlighted the persistent barriers women faced in scientific institutions. A personal crisis erupted in 1911 when her relationship with physicist Paul Langevin, a former student of Pierre's, became public. The ensuing scandal, fueled by xenophobic and sexist press coverage, nearly overwhelmed her. Yet during this tumultuous period, she received her second Nobel Prize, this time in chemistry, for her discovery and isolation of radium and polonium. She remains the only woman to win multiple Nobel Prizes in scientific fields. World War I marked a significant shift in Marie's work. She developed mobile X-ray units, known as petites curies, and trained women to be X-ray operators. She personally drove these units to the front lines, often with her teenage daughter Irene, demonstrating radiation's practical applications in medicine. By war's end, over 1 million wounded soldiers had received X-ray examinations thanks to her efforts. The post-war period brought new opportunities and recognition. In 1921, she toured the United States, where journalist Marie Maloney organized a campaign that raised funds to purchase radium for her research. During this tour, she met President Warren G. Harding and received numerous honors from American universities. The 1920s saw Marie focusing on building her legacy through institution building. The Radium Institute in Paris, which she had helped establish before the war, became a leading center for radioactivity research. She also supported the creation of the Radium Institute in Warsaw, maintaining connections with her Polish homeland. Her leadership style during these years was characterized by mentorship and collaboration. She trained numerous scientists, including her daughter Irene, who would later win her own Nobel Prize. Many of her students became leading figures in radioactivity research, extending her influence across generations. Marie's later years were marked by increasing health problems, almost certainly caused by long-term radiation exposure. Despite this, she maintained an active research schedule. Her last major public appearance was at the 1933 International Conference on Nuclear Physics in Brussels, where she shared the platform with the leading physicists of the new quantum era. Marie Curie died on July 4, 1934, from aplastic anemia caused by radiation exposure. Her scientific papers from the 1890s are still so radioactive that they must be stored in lead-lined boxes and can only be viewed wearing protective clothing. Part 5: A Legacy of Scientific Excellence and Perseverance. Marie Curie's extraordinary journey from a young Polish girl with a passion for learning to a twice Nobel Prize winner represents one of science's most inspiring stories. Her groundbreaking discoveries in radioactivity not only revolutionized our understanding of matter, but also paved the way for modern cancer treatments. Her dedication to science, even at the cost of her own health, her resilience in the face of gender discrimination, and her unwavering commitment to research excellence continue to inspire scientists, particularly women in STEM fields, around the world. Curie's legacy reminds us that with determination, intellectual rigor, and dedication to one's passion, it's possible to overcome any obstacle and change the world. If you found this story of Marie Curie's remarkable life inspiring, please show your support by subscribing to my channel and giving this video a thumbs up. Help spread her inspiring story by sharing this video with others who might be interested in the life of this extraordinary scientist.